Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook along with Darren Frye, Water Street Solutions, and a mixed day in both grain and livestock futures trade. Darren, I want us to talk about corn and soybeans higher for the day, but new crop was the leader, and so were we just unwinding spreads, or was that weather premium that we were putting into the market?
Well, I'm certain that the weather is a little concerning. There is quite a bit of crop planted in certain areas, and they're worried about this frost freeze coming maybe through midweek of next week. But the cooler temps are going to slow down planting. The rain is going to slow down planting, and we're going to see a lot of results here moving forward in a fast manner until we get to maybe May 3rd, May 4th. And so that probably is some of it. I think old crop was just up against resistance. We
Right.
built a lot of hype in to not only these Chinese purchases on corn, but also the possible shutting of the corridor. So we just ran into some technical selling, I think, on old crop, and that's what gave way today.
Yeah. And like you say, we maybe did do a little bit of spread unwinding, but I'm just wondering as we go into delivery now, these May contracts, what's going to happen. Sometimes it gets kind of explosive and users chase after the product. Is that going to be the case
Yep.
again, or is the cash market doing the work?
I think the cash market's going to do more of the work. But we've seen the spreads tell the farmer, bring your corn, bring your beans, bring it now. We need it. And I'm not sure that's gotten as much out of the farmer's hands as what the commercial would like. Certainly, basis is firming as well across the country, but especially out west. And I think the cash market might do a lot of the heavy lifting. I think the big question is when we see May go off the board, does July resume that move higher to take over May? Or does the new crop, if the weather's going well, is the dominant factor that pulls old crop down? And so I think that'll be interesting to see. Jury's out on that, but by May 15th, we should have good direction on what's going to happen.
Right. So as long as you brought it up, go back and talk about new crop, because as the planters continue to roll here, do you think we're going to be able to hold support here, at least the psychological $13 mark on beans and $5.50 on corn?
No, I think those levels will go. I think it will take active planting, though, to do it. If we see these delays go past the 3rd of May, get out to the 10th, the 15th, well, then we will hold support, and we probably got to go higher to put weather premium in. But if we start to roll and roll quickly, and the way these farmers can put acres in the ground in a week or two, they could be done. And hey, that would put pressure on these new crop prices. 13 would go, so would 550.
The other thing that kind of supported the soybeans today was the rally in soybean oil. And honestly, palm oil's been up. The veg oils have been kind of resuming their uptrends as well. And so do you anticipate that's going to continue to kind of lift beans, or at least support beans?
I don't have enough price confirmation yet on crude palm oil or on rapeseed or on bean oil, but yes, this move up still looks kind of corrective to me, but we'll see if we get to a certain level and violate critical resistance, then we could have scored a bottom in these oils. And just remember that when we started this market higher back in April of 20, it was all oil led. It wasn't meal led. And meal has been the dominant factor in the last 8 to 10 months with the drought in Argentina. But we could have a situation with this renewable diesel where oil leads again. And so that'll be interesting to see. But right now, I think oil is still somewhat corrective, counter trend, in my opinion.
Yeah, because we've had a lot of that meal oil spread unwinding, and it goes back the other direction. And so to your point,
Yes.
the Argentina crop has really been supportive of soybean meal. Overall, though, we have very tight supplies here. And I guess I'm wondering going forward now, do you anticipate that, is crush going to keep pace? We had a record NOPA crush number yesterday. And are the end users going to continue to go after those beans?
Well, you would think so, but the crush, if you compare this year to last, the cumulative total, we're about 5 million behind last year. Obviously, they upped their total crush number at the USDA. They're at 2220, 2,220,000,000. My crush number is 10 million less than that, but they are up from 2204 to 2220 from last year, and yet we're behind the pace. So I just wonder if they will end up scoring their projection or not. And then, of course, on the export sales, that is something that I think is interesting because we're like 64 million ahead on inspections on soybeans, but we're like 48 million behind on sales. And so I wonder what's going on there because, boy, inspections, China and everyone else has been taking them and shipping them. So
Yeah,
that
and
has been bullish, but sales are maybe lagging a little bit.
yeah, it's been a little surprising though. I mean, Brazil's undercutting us in the market, and for us to be even seeing the amount of exports right now that we are is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I would say it's true. I mean, those FOB prices have just plummeted down there, and
Yeah.
obviously they have storage issues. They can't move them all, and they can't store them all, so they're having to move them, and that's just pressured their cash market.
So we ended mixed in the wheat today, even though we had some pretty poor crop ratings. We can't get the spring wheat crop planted. But yet the other force or the headline that we keep chasing is what's going on in the Black Sea. And so what does that mean for this market?
Well, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, we have to wait and see what Russia does with the UN with negotiations, but that is the concern: is this corridor is going to get shut down? It's not going to get extended, and if so, that's supported for wheat, for corn. It's probably why China's bought 4 million metric tons over the last 6 weeks, just to make sure. I think they have a lot of leverage on Russia. They're kind of buddy behind the scenes, but in the end of the day, if Russia doesn't listen and they need grain, they're getting some of those secured out of the U.S. So I think that's why we've seen a lift with their purchases here as late.
Gotcha. Cotton market had a nice move today. Was there any one reason for the rally?
Well, I think you got crude oil prices moving higher, and that's going to affect cotton. But also, I think the balance sheet the USDA has, we're starting to see a lot more old crop demand, and we're probably going to see tightening numbers here as we move forward. So I think that is supportive. We are at a level that we're either going to tip over and go back down, or we're going to start to move higher. I don't know. The charts aren't decisive right now, but we're at this tipping point. We could go either way. And if crude oil goes higher, that will be supportive for cotton. But also, as you mentioned earlier, GDP in China came out. It's up 4%. And that's a big deal. China's a huge user of cotton, and that could have had something to do with today's rally as well.
You bet. I thought that move in cotton really was tied to the GDP number. All right, let's end on cattle. We started off the day a little bit lower, but we can't seem to keep that market down, and it seems like the funds want to buy every break here, and we even scored new contract highs in the feeders. So do we continue to resume this uptrend here?
Well, we're coming into tighter and tighter supplies. Demand for beef is opposite of pork. It is excellent. We see the choice over 300 and select moving toward 300. And so the packers have margins. So I would say that we're going to stay supported here. The June are such a discount to April and a discount to cash. Wouldn't be surprised if June run to 167 to 171. Somewhere in there, they might top out. This is a terminal wave, which means when it's over, it's over. Cattle usually don't plateau. They go up, and then they go down, down, down. And so right now they still have life in them, and they're still well supported. I would imagine we have higher highs coming.
Okay, thanks for joining us, Darren Frye, Water Street Solutions. That's Markets Now.